This is RTV6 News at 6, working for you.
We've never seen anything like this virus before, so please be careful out there.
After a nurse survives her bout with COVID-19, she's sending a warning to those who might not be taking the virus seriously.
As schools announce their plans for students to return, parents have questions about how those schools plan to keep their kids safe. Working for you, we're getting answers to many of your concerns.
All the information I've looked at, it points to a systemic problem across the state of there aren't homeowners being represented.
A lawsuit accuses the Homeowners Association of holding illegal elections and mismanaging money. What you can look for in your own neighborhood.
Good evening to you here at 6 o'clock. I'm Mark Mullins.
And I'm Amanda Starantino. As you can see, Mark and I are in different locations to help stop the spread of COVID-19. And first at 6, a nurse says she's getting a second chance at life after surviving COVID-19. It was not an easy fight. In fact, she says her family started to fear the worst and even began discussing her funeral. After 46 days in the hospital, spending time in the ICU and on a ventilator, she's finally home. Troy Washington is sharing her message with those who may not be taking the virus seriously.
Leslie Vogel wasn't sure she'd survive her bout with COVID-19.
This is a very serious virus. My children were discussing my funeral. That's how serious it was and how critically ill I was from COVID.
She says her family leaned into their faith and stayed by her side from the beginning through recovery.
Saturday, the 28th of March, I woke up short of breath, and I asked my daughter to take me to the Ascension St. Vincent Neighborhood Hospital in Noblesville.
Her condition worsened. She spent the remainder of March into May in the hospital, most of that time in ICU with a ventilator.
My last memory is being in ICU, looking out my glass door, and seeing the ventilator sitting there and everybody garbing up.
After all she's been through just to finally step foot inside of her home again, Leslie wants everyone to do all that they can to keep themselves and others healthy, keeping in mind that this advice is coming from a nurse.
Never have seen anything like this in my 39 years of nursing. We've never seen anything like this virus before, so please be careful out there.
By careful, this survivor means wearing a mask and making sure to follow the guidelines to protect yourself and everyone around you.
I feel like I have another, chance at life. My work on earth is not finished.
Working for you, Troy Washington, RTV6.
And Vogel has not returned to work yet. She agreed to do a virtual interview with us because she is limiting her contact with others right now. It's not known if those who have recovered from COVID-19 can contract it again.
Schools are already releasing their reopening plans, and as we've reported, the Washington Township School District announced it is postponing returning to the classroom. But many other schools plan to open with students in the building. Families across central Indiana have many questions about how those schools plan to keep their kids safe. RTV6's Stephanie Wade is working for you to find out what the state is doing to protect teachers and students.
It's being said both here locally in Marion County.
We feel it's okay for schools to reopen based on the current data that we have.
And by our state health department.
I firmly believe that the best thing for our students is to get them back into the classroom.
Officials want students back in the classroom. But the Indiana State Teachers Association, which represents educators across the state, says many are worried what will happen if they go back in a few weeks.
What resources are in place for staff, for students, and for the community when a student or a teacher dies? Not if, when.
The many questions teachers and families have about returning, whether it's how long someone has to quarantine after a possible exposure, if masks are required 100% of the time, who gets notified of a positive case, and what's the process like? Are all decisions being left to local districts, according to the state health commissioner and state superintendent of public instruction when addressing back-to-school plans last month?
We wish that we had clearer guidance and clearer mandates from health departments or from the state health department.
Dr. Box laid out recommendations and guidelines for schools, but hasn't mandated anything.
The CDC guidance says that schools may have to close for a period of 2 to 5 days, but this isn't written in stone. It really depends on how well you have been able to cohort your students in your school system.
Many teachers fearing schools will reopen, see a spike in cases, and be forced to close weeks later.
We really and truly are asking a large group across the state to put themselves at very high risk and potentially pass away and leave their own families in this situation.
Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
To see the State Department of Education and Department of Health's COVID-19 health and safety reentry recommendations, visit our website at theindychannel.com. You can also look on the RTV6 app. Also on our website, we have broken down how several local school districts plan to return for the fall of 2020. If you're a parent, you should check this out. Again, that's on theindychannel.com and on the RTV6 app. New COVID-19 numbers tonight from the state. The Indiana Department of Health reports 662 new cases of COVID-19. That's 210 more new cases of the virus than were reported yesterday. Since the pandemic began, 52,685 Hoosiers have been diagnosed with coronavirus. The Department of Health also confirms 13 new COVID-19 deaths, which is also higher than yesterday. The state death toll stands at 2,582. More than 578,000 people have been tested for the virus here. 9.1% of those tests came back positive for COVID-19. The state reports 767 people across Indiana were hospitalized with COVID-19 as of yesterday. That's 3 more hospitalizations than on Sunday, July 12th. And on July 11th, 702 people were in the hospital with coronavirus.
Tonight, one of the largest neighborhoods in central Indiana is facing a lawsuit. The Deer Path HOA is accused of holding fraudulent elections and mismanaging the HOA's money. Call 6 Investigates' Kara Kenny has been digging through the complaint and explains what you can be looking for if you live in a homeowners association.
Nearly 1 million people in Indiana live in a neighborhood with a homeowners association, organizations that collect dues and in turn manage common areas like landscaping, parks, and pools. Thousands of people live in Noblesville's Deer Path, one of the largest subdivisions in Hamilton County. Andrew Taylor has lived here for 5 years.
Great location, wonderful place to live and raise your family. And this is where I live and raise my family.
Taylor and his attorney, Brian Dehem, who also lives in Deer Path, are concerned about what they call illegal and improper conduct by the Deer Path HOA, the board, and Kirkpatrick Management Company.
Someone needs to stand up for the homeowners because we all live in these communities. These are our homes.
The lawsuit accuses Deer Path of an illegal scheme of ignoring the HOA's covenants and bylaws and holding sham elections without the proper number of voters. In some cases, as few as 9 homeowners were present at election meetings when the Deer Path bylaws required at least a quorum of over 700 homeowners to hold a board election, the lawsuit alleges. Attorney Brian Dehem says it calls into question the HOA's decisions for the past 8 years.
During this time frame when the board wasn't elected for the better part of a decade, there have been people who have actually lost their homes and people who have had to pay thousands of dollars to what is essentially a board that hasn't been elected and property management company that did not have the authority to do any of this.
The lawsuit also accuses the HOA of failing to get required financial audits and engaging in thousands of dollars in untraceable financial transactions. Court documents allege the HOA raised dues for homeowners without taking the proper steps.
Who's in charge of your homeowners association in many ways is more important than who's the president of the United States. But how often will the HOA affect your life? At least on a yearly basis, most of the time on a monthly basis.
We reached out to Deer Run's board and their attorney, who responded, "Neither the board nor myself feel it is advisable to comment on pending litigation." If you live in an HOA, make sure to read up on their covenants and bylaws before you move in. Attend HOA meetings, take part in elections, or run for a position. Dehem says HOA should consider using independent attorneys, not necessarily the ones connected to property management companies.
You need independent counsel that is dedicated to your community who will tell you what you should do. because that's the most important thing when you have people that are questioning each other.
Taylor and Dehem hope the lawsuit sends a message to thousands of HOAs in Indiana that they have to follow the rules. Kara Kenny, RTV6.
And if you have a problem with your homeowners association, you can file a complaint with the Attorney General. However, just know the Attorney General can only take action for a few specific reasons. That includes if a homeowners association intentionally or knowingly misappropriates funds, if the HOA violates its requirements related to budgets, or fails to properly use proxies. Now, the Attorney General's office says they have not received any complaints about Deer Path HOA.
Developing tonight, 2 men are dead after a shooting in Brownsburg. Now an investigation is underway into the circumstances surrounding that incident. Brownsburg police say this happened around 1:15 this afternoon on North Grant Street in a residential area not far from downtown Brownsburg. Investigators say they found 2 men dead in the street. What led up to that incident and whether additional people were involved is something that police are still trying to figure out. Police say there is no threat to the public. Tonight, we are hearing from the attorney of the man who says that he was assaulted and nearly lynched near Lake Monroe in Bloomington. Attorney Catherine Leal denies that her client, Vox Booker, instigated a racially charged incident on July 4th at Lake Monroe. She also said Booker spoke with the FBI yesterday about the case. Leal said the FBI has opened a hate crime investigation against the group that Booker says assaulted him, but the FBI would not confirm or deny that to RTV6. Yesterday, an attorney representing Sean Purdy and Caroline McCord, 2 of the people seen in a video that partially captures the incident, held a news conference. Attorney David Hennessy said that Booker was the instigator and agitator, not the victim in this case. He says his clients are innocent. Here's a portion of what he said.
It's deplorable that any person would be targeted because of their race. It is equally deplorable that someone would use their race to promote and arouse public passion over a false accusation.
In a response today, Booker's attorney, Catherine Leal, said this, quote, Vox Booker is a victim of an attempted lynching and violent prejudice-fueled attack. She goes on to say, quote, Sean Purdy and Caroline McCord did not speak to the press. Why not? They did not apologize for the way they treated Vox Booker, as can be seen on the videotape, end quote. Lyle also said there are witnesses, quote, who saw Sean Purdy's aggression and who heard the racist slurs of his friends, end quote. She concluded her statement by calling for action to be taken against the people Booker accused in that incident.
A well-known sports broadcaster in Richmond and his wife are facing criticism after posting a video podcast online. Community members say that podcast included racist comments. The video was posted by Radio Troy, also known as Troy Derengowski, and his wife, Suzanne. Suzanne is a member of the Richmond School Board. Several organizations have now cut ties with Radio Troy, and RTV6's Megan St. Torm found out community members are now calling for Suzanne's resignation.
Several people have gathered outside of the administration building for Richmond schools, hoping to send a strong message to the board. Holding signs and standing side by side. These are the community members calling on school board member Suzanne Derengowski to resign.
Posting racist stuff right along with her husband, I can't stand for that.
The video that prompted this protest has since been deleted from Facebook. Some say it included racist comments that someone leading a district should not make.
It's important to me that someone who can directly influence the direction of the district not necessarily share those same views.
Derengowski has been on the school board since 2003. She was not at the school board meeting this afternoon, but a friend of hers was.
I know the character of Suzanne, and that's, she's not a racist.
While she admits she did not see the video, she still says she supports Derengowski.
She's been on that school board for years and done great things for this city, so I wish people would appreciate her character and what she's done in the past and not judge her on whatever happened.
But others disagree.
I would never believe in stifling someone's First Amendment rights, but when you hold positions such as a board member or even in a job, there can be repercussions for what you state publicly and believe in.
The school board president tells me her comments were made from home, and they do not reflect the views of the district. He says they as a board do not have the power to force her to resign, but he said they are listening to community members and hearing their concerns. Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, RTV6.
And Suzanne Darenkowski released a statement on behalf of herself and her husband. She said they did not mean to cause harm, and they will work to deepen their understanding of racial injustice in America. We'll have the full statement posted on our website at theindychannel.com.
The city of Indianapolis will increase police patrols on the downtown Canal Walk as part of a plan to improve security after 2 fatal shootings in recent weeks. The Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department says it will add 2 off-duty overnight shifts on the canal from 10:30 at night until 5 in the morning. The shifts will include a combination of bike and foot patrols and will pay special attention to the canal play space and the Walnut Street Bridge. The plan also includes improved lighting in that area.
A daily chance for thunderstorms returns to my forecast. It's all about the timing then. We'll talk about our chance for Wednesday thunderstorms coming up.
Practices are underway and the games are less than 2 weeks from starting. The Pacers and Fever getting settled in Florida. Coming up, see how things are on both on and off the court for both teams.
When you step outside or you look at these temperatures right behind me, there won't be anything this cool again for the next week or so. As temperatures start to climb, the humidity will come up as well. It's 80 in Zionsville, very nice. Bloomington at 87. These mid to high level clouds will thin out tonight and will end up mostly clear once again. Let's set the stage here. Almost on a daily basis, the highs will be 90 to 95. You have to factor in the humidity, which will be very noticeable. That'll put our heat index value at 100, maybe some cases a little warmer. And the low temperatures will be stuck in the low to mid 70s. That'll warm the pool water. Our chance for thunderstorms increases tomorrow night in the western portion of the state. There's also a marginal or low risk for severe storms for the western half of Indiana. Increases a little bit in Illinois to a slight risk. What will happen, I think, is the storms as they enter the state should be losing strength. Depending on if the timing changes, the strength may change a bit too. And the heat of the forecast. 91 Friday, lower 90s with that chance for thunderstorms continuing Saturday and Sunday. There's your heat index value. I think some spots could see 105 for a heat index value. Not tomorrow, though, but we do make it to 91 for the high, with clouds increasing late in the day ahead of that cold front that will sit off to the west. 7 o'clock, an isolated shower thunderstorm. By 8 and 9, you see the thunderstorms starting to line up to the west. There they are late evening. That's 10 o'clock. A few of these may be strong with some damaging wind potential. They stay stronger in the southern portion of the state into the early overnight hours. We'll take a little bit of a temperature hit Thursday. Most all should be in the 80s for highs. That's the last day where temperatures are in the 80s, at least during this 7-day forecast. And you see the trend. These overnight lows, which have been comfortable the last 2 mornings, they'll warm into the mid-70s consistently for overnight lows, and highs Friday through Tuesday of next week in the low to mid-90s. That's a model of consistency right there in the 7-day planner.
It's getting warm out there. All right, Kevin, thank you for that. Room service, golf course, ping pong lounge, and oh yeah, some basketball too. That's what the Pacers are finding inside their NBA bubble.
The Fever are getting inside their summer accommodations as well. Brad Brown has a look at the start of their Florida adventure in our Sports Extra Spotlight.
Over the weekend, the Magic Kingdom reopened at Walt Disney World in Florida. Thousands of guests returning to take in the fun. But tucked away inside the resort, the Pacers were getting on court for their first practices of the summer season.
I'm happy with what I see from our guys, as far as being off for the last 4 months and the last 3 days. I felt that they've gone hard in practice. They've been, and as I mentioned yesterday, basically just coming in and getting a feel for each other.
A couple days of quarantine in the bubble gave the Pacers a chance to take the tour of their Grand Floridian resort amenities.
Oh! That was actually really good. the bubble's been great, since day one. They're taking great care of us. Food's not that bad. The rooms are not that bad. They basically are providing us with everything we need. Only thing is obviously we're stuck in the bubble, so that might get a bit tiresome after a while. But it's what we got to do now to finish the season, and it's going to be fine.
And with the restart just over 2 weeks away, there will be plenty to ramp up in the team's workouts.
It actually felt great, man. I was just joking, some of my teammates earlier, like I never thought I'd say I actually missed practicing, but we were kind of, it felt really good that first day, just kind of get up and down and just be together again and kind of see each other's familiar faces.
Meanwhile, a couple hours down the road in Bradenton, the Fever are settling in for their summer session.
You made it to the Wubble. I'm the only one here right now, so I'm gonna show y'all a little peek into our villa. This is our lounge area, kitchen. About to be whipping up some work in there.
The team's getting cozy on the IMG Academy campus, the Wubble, as it's being called. The Fever getting a later start after a delay in travel when 2 players tested positive for COVID-19. A short ramp up for the team as they'll play their first game on July 25th. It's a 22-game schedule for the Fever. They'll play each team in the league twice. The regular season for the WNBA wrapping up on September 12th. A reminder about the Pacers' schedule. Their first game is set for August 1st. They'll have 3 exhibition scrimmages ahead of that starting next week. Brad Brown, RTV6 Sports.
Two hours and 45 minutes roughly until the sun sets. It'll be another comfortable night, although slightly warmer, lower 60s in most spots. Indy starts at 66 tomorrow morning. Temperature late morning, 82 degrees, that mixture of clouds and sunshine, and the afternoon hours. Temperatures around 90, rain tomorrow night. Amanda?
We'll take a look outside. It looks beautiful out. Thanks for making RTV6 your choice for news. Join us again for the news at 7.